a bag of candy left to fade away. Many marshmallows dreamt of rising but slept that day. A jar of nuts with its cap askew, a box of raisins that no one ever knew. Pantry ghosts, they whisper low and clear, baking dreams abandoned through the years. Once a promise, now a distant cry, forgotten treasures crumbling where they lie.
I have so many ingredients that I've used parts of. I could not figure out what I wanted to do with them, and suddenly I remembered a recipe, and I get to choose 4 extra ingredients to put in these cookies. And I looked at all of these items and thought, I'm gonna make kitchen sink cookies and I'm gonna use all of these ingredients. And the great thing about them is that they look beautiful when they come out, and you get to choose what you want to put in for those 4 extra ingredients. And I'll show you what I'm going to put in them, and then you get to choose what you want to put in them. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some softened butter, let it sit out at room temperature or microwave it for 10 seconds. You just want this butter to be soft because the first thing we're going to do with the butter is cream it. And then we've got some white sugar, and I'm using dark brown. If you don't have dark brown, you can use light brown. So we're going to put the sugar in here, both sugars. We're going to cream this for 2 or 3 minutes. This gets everything blended really well, and it also adds a little bit of air so that everything is kind of fluffy. It's one of the first steps for cookies and cakes. Okay, we're going to speed this up a little bit, about a medium high, and we're going to let this go for a couple of minutes. We'll scrape the bowl down as needed. Okay, so that looks really good. If you can see that it's all mixed well together, and it's smooth and kind of as fluffy as this can get with all of that sugar in there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add 2 eggs, one at a time. And I do break the eggs into a bowl so that if there's any shells or anything, I can get them out before I put them in here. So we're going to get this going on a lower speed, and we're going to drop 1 egg in at a time. And eggs separate really easily in the bowl because they have their own little unit there. So you put it in, and I'm just going to speed that up a little bit. And usually this takes about 30 seconds to get it where you want it. Okay, so that looks great. And the reason we're doing all of this, you know, the temptation is to just throw everything in and stir it, is that this helps the cookies spread as they're cooking. So we're going to scrape the sides of the bowl to make sure that everything gets mixed in. And we're going to add that last egg and then turn up the speed a little bit. And just go for another 30 seconds. Okay, that looks great. And I am using a paddle for this because everything is going to go into this mixer. And if you have the whisk part on, it's just gonna it's gonna be too heavy with all of these really fun ingredients. So I've put the paddle on to do the work today. All right, and then we're gonna add our vanilla, which is my homemade vanilla. We do have a video for that. And then we're going to mix that in. And I only let that go until I could tell that it was all incorporated in there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our dry ingredients. We've got some flour, just regular flour. We've got some oatmeal, and this is Old Fashioned Oats. Unless the recipe calls for it, I always use Old Fashioned Oats. If the recipe calls for, quick oats, then I definitely use those because there's a reason they have that in there. But for recipes that ask for oatmeal, I always use Old Fashioned Oats because they give it such a great texture. The different thing with this is that I blended them in. You can either use a blender or your food processor. I did these in the food processor, and I just broke them up just a little bit. It still gives that nice texture, but it doesn't add too much texture because there's so many things going into this. I didn't want all of that chew in there. So it's gonna give us some chew, but not as much as it would if it was the big pieces. And then we've got some salt, baking powder, and baking soda. And we're just going to take another spoon. We're going to mix that all up. And it's important to do this step because if you just dump each individual ingredient in the bowl, yes, it will mix it up, but you guarantee that it's mixing up evenly this way. So we're going to take half of this and we're just going to carefully put it in this bowl. There, we'll just... This is going to go on low, and you want this to just mix in. You're going to stop this and scrape the sides. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we'll add the other half. There we go. So we're going to scrape this down one more time, and then the fun starts. Okay, so you've got a basic cookie dough going on here. I've never made these the same way with the ingredients because I use what I have. The only rule I use is that make everything about the same size as everything else. Today I'm going to use some M&Ms, and these are the mini M&Ms. And we're just going to dump these in. I've got some raisins. Dried fruit is great. Apricots or anything dried is delicious in here. I've put cherries in it before. Gonna put those in there. We've got some craisins, cranberries, dried cranberries. And then we have some chocolate chips. You can use butterscotch chips. These happen to be semi-sweet chocolate chips. I've put bittersweet in. It's delicious that way. It takes away some of the sweetness. Pretzel pieces, little pretzel pieces, whatever you like in your cookies.
Heat the oven, hear it hum tonight. Gonna bake those cookies, feeling just right. Flowers flying, sugars taking the stage. Mixing up the magic like a sweethearted sage. Cookie fever.
This has got everything in it but the kitchen sink. Now, this you want to do really slowly. All we're trying to do here is get this mixed up, and you're just going to turn it on really slowly and just let it mix itself up. Hello? Here we go. All right, I think I like that. All right, let's see. Okay. These are the best cookies. They're just so good. All right, so this looks great. Look at all of that stuff in there. It's yummy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cookie dough. I've got a medium-size ice cream scoop, and I'm going to start scooping the cookies. I am going to take these and scrunch them down just a little bit. It helps them spread out a little bit more. Now I have this delicious Maldon salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle just a tad so it doesn't get too salty because they already have salt in them, but just a little bit on the top. I'm going to put these in a 375-degree oven for 10 to 12 minutes. So let's put these in. Okay, so these have been in for 12 minutes. And oh, those look good. And I am going to just give them a little tap. So when you tap these, it just deflates them a little bit. And as far as I'm concerned, almost every cookie I make, within reason, I tap down anything like this that has like chocolate chip cookies, peanut butter cookies, snickerdoodles.
Shrimp kebabs, shrimp creole, shrimp gumbo.
Drop cookies, I guess, is what I slam. But it gives them a nice chew in the middle, and it doesn't harden as it's cooling off. And so when you bite into it, it's like, you know, it's like this really nice, oh, I just can't explain it, but it's really worth doing. Okay, so we'll let these cool for about 5 minutes, take them off, and then we'll give them a taste. So let's break one of these open and see what it looks like inside. Ooh, look, yum. And you can see everything is mixed completely through. And this is a nice kind of chewy, there's nice chew to this. It's not overly done. The bottom looks brown and lovely. And there, see all of the pieces? It's just mixed completely all the way through. Let's try these. Oh my goodness. Every time I make these, I don't know why I don't make them all the time. And the nice thing about these, excuse me, is that they freeze incredibly well. You know, a few at a time in aluminum foil, and then I put them in an airtight container, whether it's a freezer bag or a container, and the foil keeps them from getting like any freezer burn or crystals on them. And when I feel like a cookie, I just go into the freezer and take them out and try to wait for them to thaw before I eat them. But the integrity of these remains, and you always have a cookie on hand. These are so good, and it's definitely a big treat. And let me know what you would put in these if you were going to make these. Thank you.